In order to ensure the sustainable and responsible management of Mongolian rangelands for the sake of future generations, herders, rangeland specialists and researchers decided to join hands in May 2015 and created the National Federation of Pasture User Groups for Mongolian herders. The total membership of the National Federation of Pasture User Groups currently stands at 92,000. This includes 90,000 herder households, 1,600 pasture user groups of herder households, 169 SOM associations of pasture user groups, 18 provincial federation of SOM associations of pasture user groups, 75 livestock product marketing cooperatives and 44 savings and credit cooperatives. The mission of the National Federation of Pasture User Group is to sustain the integrity of the ecosystem services of Mongolian steppe grassland and to ensure the security of herder livelihoods and animal welfare. Mongolia has long traditions of nomadic rangeland and herd management. Sustainable rangeland and herd management is the basis of assuring the employment of the half national population, securing the supply of the raw materials for over 500 domestic agro processing plants, and maintaining the ecological integrity and balance of grassland ecosystem, which constitutes 70% of the country's territory. The grassland ecosystem provides following four services: provisioning, regulating, cultural, and supporting services. Natural rangelands are the basis livestock forage in Mongolia, and 98% of livestock forage intake is provided by the rangelands. Out of the 3,000 natural plant species found in Mongolia, over 1,000 plant species grow on rangelands. With the disbanding of the Soviet cooperative system in early 1990s, livestock was privatized back to herders, and yet rangelands remain state property. Combined effects of herders wish to increase private livestock numbers, encouraging government policy, and increasing old population due demand for Kashmir have resulted in the national herd size of 70 million heads, that is about carrying capacity of rangelands by 3 times. Many years of overgrazing has led to severe degradation of rangelands. According to National Rangeland Health Assessment report released by the National Meteorology and Environmental Monitoring Agency, every 3 years, 57% of the total 110,000 million hectares of rangelands degraded, and the main cause is overgrazing. The consequences of the rangelands degradation are manifold: the soil erosion, loss of fertility, and depletion of the regeneration capacity of plants, which eventually lead to emergence of invasive plants, extinction of palatable plant species, desertification, and salinization. Rangeland degradation in Mongolia has manifold economic and socially adverse effects, such as reduced livestock productivity, poor quality of livestock raw materials, and increased vulnerability of herder households in wake of natural disasters. Rangelands remain public property, and livestock being private property has conditioned for a classic case of what economists call the tragedy of the commons. National and international researchers have been warning us of this. This concept first introduced by the British scientist economist William Foster Lloyd in 1833. This is, every individual has incentive to consume more out of common pool resources, but yet the expense of the every other individual with no way exclude anyone from consuming the resource. If everybody acts in their apparent own best interest, those actions results in harmful overconsumption of the common pool resources. This has been a root cause of problems observed in Mongolia. Each herder household increases their number of livestock in order to increase income, which has resulted in number of livestock eventually exceeding carrying capacity of rangelands.
Манай Монголын нүүдлийн мал аж ахуйн бэлчээр ашигтын хэлбэр бусад орнуудаас арай өөр. Бэлчээр одоо малчтын дундын өмч, мал нь болохоор малчтын хувийн өмч. Сүүлийн жилүүдэд малчид ашиг орлогоо нэмэгдүүлэхийн тулд малын тугаа хийдэг өсгөөд бэлчээрийн даацаа олон жил хэтрүүлэн ашигласан улмаас одоо бэлчээрийн талхагдал дараалал нэмэгдсээр байна. Тэгээ энэ асуудлын одоо үндсэн суур шалтгааныг нь олохгүйгээр зөвхөн одоо үр дагавартай тэмцээр бид нар бас нэлээд олон жилийг алдлаа. Бэлчээр нийтийн өмч учраас одоо бэлчээрийг талхалсан, зөө зөксөд ашиглаагүй нөлөө хинч хариуцлах үйл өгдөг. Энэ бол асуудлын гол нь. Манай Монголын нүүдлийн мал аж ахуйд дундын бэлчээрээ зөө зүйтэй ашиглаж байсан, бэлчээрийн даастаа малын тоогоо тохируулж байсан, бэлчээрдээ өөрөмсөд хариуцлагатай хандж байсан, бэлчээрийнхаа даацыг зохион байгуулах гэдэг маш олон тийм бичигдээгүй хууль журам, норм, арга ухаантайсан. Тэгээ манай төслийн хувьд болохоор малчтын уламжлалт арга ухааныг малчтаа өөрсдөө орон нутгийн удирдлагуудтай буцаас сэргийгээд нэвтрүүлсэн нь гол үйл ажиллагаа байсан.
However, Mongolian herders have informal and formal regulations of limiting number of livestock within the carrying capacity of rangelands and using their shared rangelands in the sustainable manner. Among herders, this knowledge is known as 4 golden rules. not to exceed the carrying capacity of rangelands, not to deplete the regeneration capacity of plants, give plants time to recover, practice pre-plant and regulated rotational grazing. In order to address the root cause of rangeland degradation, revitalization of this traditional knowledge combined with enforcement mechanism have been promoted and implemented by the National Federation of Pasture User Groups in partnership with international and local partners. According to current land legislation, herders who have formed a pasture user group may establish a rangeland use agreement with local government. A group of herders who share customary access of from 2 to 4 seasonal rangelands create pasture user group. Pasture user group members define the boundaries of grazing areas and regulate their use based on common plan. These plans form the basis of the establishment of the rangeland use agreements between pasture user groups and local governments, which serve as means enforce and monitor pasture user group, rotational grazing and rangeland resting plans. In the framework of the provision with the support of the Swiss Development Corporation, Green Gold Animal Health Project, National Federation of Pasture User Groups herders have supported herders from 184 thus far from pasture user groups and established rangeland use agreements with the local government since 2011. Between 2008 to 2011, National Federation of Pasture User Groups has facilitated formation of the 1,600 pasture user groups with the membership of 92,000 herder households and supported the establishment of the rangeland use agreement with the local governments. This covers 50% of the total national rangelands.
Тухайн үед ч ойлгохгүй байсан л да. Тэгээд яг ойлгоод тийм хэсгийн зохион байгуулалтанд ороод би тэгэхэд манай баг гэхэд үндсэндээ хоёр хэсэг болсон.
Тэгээд нэг буусан газараасаа нүүлгөө одоо тэгээд нэг өвлжнээсээ нүгөө зовсон эргээд өвлжөө. Тэр мэрийг бол би хасан баяцсан.
In the course of 15 years since herders have begun forming pasture user groups and establishing rangeland use agreements for improved enforcement of rotational grazing and resting, 20 million hectares of graded rangelands have recovered from the degradation. The main functions of the pasture user groups are define and agree on seasonal grazing boundaries, develop seasonal rotational grazing plans and schedules, adopt regulations to enforce seasonal grazing plans, undertake community-based monitoring to ensure members' compliance with the regulations, establish rangeland use agreement with the local government, take part in an annual assessment of fulfillment of the rangeland use agreement conditions.
Гэрээ контракт хийгээд ингээд гэрээнийхаа дагуу ажиллаж байгаа. За тэгээд ийм болохоор зэрэг одоо энэ намрын тухайд бол манайх одоо энэ улаан сээр орчим тэгээд энэ доошлолтын сурагдах баруун талыг бол одоо өнжөөсөн.
Энэ гэрээг анх байгуулахад бэлчээр тухайн бэлчээрийн төлөв байдал нь ямар хөө төлөв байдалтай байсан бэ? Жилдээ энэ төлөв байдал манд ороотоод байна уу, сайжраад байна уу гэдгийг бас хянах бол одоо ингээ өөр хариуцлага хүлээх болж.
Rangeland use agreements have become an effective tool for the herders and negotiate with the local governments on the issues such as access to financial support and public investment on the project to ensure sustainable rangeland management. In 2020, 873 million tubics are spent on investment projects such as fencing hay-making areas and digging wells, planting forage, and investing in infrastructure at winter and spring camps, which is higher than previous year by 79 million tubics. Herders have been taking initiative to gradually reduce livestock numbers to adjust the carrying capacity of rangelands and pay voluntary grazing fees collected at the some rangeland risk funds and to use in the case of emergency. As December of 2020, 18 SOMs in 5 MX had set up rangeland risk funds. Herders have paid voluntary grazing fees of 268 million tubrics and local governments have contributed 165 million tubrics.
Малчтын хамтын одоо хөдөлмөрийн хэлбэрүүд тоолох юм бол одоо аймгийн олон сундын одоо тийм ээ бэлчээр ашиглагчтай холбоо мөн одоо хоршоолол за нийгэмлэг энэ бүх өөрөөр хэлбэл одоо байгууллагууд нь хөдөө аж ахуйн үйлдвэрлэдэх одоо малчтын бүтээмжийг нэмэгдүүлэх орлогыг бол сайжруулах цаашлах юм бол мөн төрийн бодлогыг бол малчид иргэдэд хүргэх юм томоохон одоо гүүр болж байгаа гэдгийг бас энэ дээр тэмдэглэж хэлхийг хүсэж байна.
Rangeland use agreements have also become a tool to secure traditional user rights of herders. In 2017, Green Gold Animal Health Project and National Federation of Pasture User Groups have initiated a project with the State Agency of Land Management, geodesy and cartography to register rangeland use agreements in the National Land Management Database.
Газар эзэмших эрх гэдэг нь бол өөрөө үйлжээ орж яана доорх газрын гэрчлэгээр байх болохоос бэлчээрийн эрх гэсэн байхгүй. Мал бэлчээрлээд байгаа тэр эрх нь өөрөө жам ёсны эрх юм байна. Энийн ихний ээлжинд одоо Монгол улсын газрын бодлого урьж байгаа энэ байгууллага маань бүрдэх хэрэгтэй юм байна гэдэг ийм ажил руу орцгоогоод газар байгалийн нөөцийн эдлбэрийн зүйн ёсны эрхийг бүртгэн болоод төр заавар гэдэг юм гаргаад систем рүү LM гэдэг програмын систем рүү оруулж бүртгэж эхэлж байна. Энэ нэг одоо улсын хэмжээнд 1500 гаруй бүртгэл хийгдсэн байна. Бүртгэсэн тэр хэлбэрээр нь одоо тэрийг лайн хэлбэрээр болгоод полигон үүсгээд зураад нийт тэр бүлэг хэсгийн талбай хэмжээ гарч иж байгаа газрын. Дээрээс нь тэр газарт хичнээн тооны мал одоо дамсаараа байгаа юм бэ, тийм ээ. Тэгээд дээрээс нь тэр гэрээгээ тухайн орон нутаг сум орон нутгийн удирдлагаар баталгаажуулж алавчулж байгаа.
Since 2008, matching funds that have been created contribute that the initiatives of the Swiss Development Corporation Green Gold Animal Health Project has an economic incentive for collective rangeland management, with each member herder households contributing 15 Swiss francs, which is then matched by Green Gold. Many of the matching fund programs have evolved, and at the request of the pasture user groups members, Swiss Development Corporation's Green Gold project has provided technical assistance to transform matching fund programs into savings and credit cooperative at the request of the members. As of December 2020, 44 mature matching funds have been transformed into savings and credit cooperatives. These savings and credit cooperatives unite 28,000 herder households, and their active savings have reached 6.1 billion tugriks, and with working capital of 685.4 million tugriks. Based on social capital created by the working as pasture user groups and some associations of pasture user groups, herders have begun to establish marketing cooperatives with the network they have created and the trust they have built up. There are 70 some-level primary marketing cooperatives and 6 AMIC-level secondary marketing cooperatives have been created. By as of December 2020, they have facilitated sales of 37 tons of combat yak wool, 500 tons of gold cashmere, 20 tons of combat baby camel wool, and 943 tons of sheep wool, in addition to the sale of 560,000 pieces of sheepskin and hides and hide, and 490,000 heads of livestock. Total sales of income cooperatives has reached 8.8 billion tugrik.
Малынхаа түүхий бүтээгдэхүүнийг болохдоор одоо бас хошоо маань RMTS гэдэг бас бүртгэлийн програм дээр бол малчтаа бүгднийг бүртгэжүүлээд мэдээлэл хадгалаад тэгэж явж байгаа.
Aside from the design and quality of the products originating from livestock raw materials, there is increasing concern among domestic and international customers with regard to transparency in environmental and social impact of the product. Based on the best practices of the Green Gold Animal Health Project of the Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation and its financial support, National Federation of Pasture User Groups of Herders in cooperation with the Ministry of Food, Agriculture and Light Industry has developed sustainable nomadic livestock production standard and its blockchain-based traceability system. The standard was approved by the State Standardization Agency February 2021. A traceability system based on blockchain technology assures origin and quality of livestock raw materials and its supply chain.
Жил бүр одоо бэлчээрийн форумыг зохион байгуулж байна. Бүсийн форумыг зохион байгуулсан, үндэсний хэмжээний форумыг 3 удаа амжилтаар зохион байгуулжлаа. За энэ форум дээр бол салбарын одоо судлаачид, малчид, олон улсын зөвлөхүүд, олон улсын одоо нэрвчлэнүүд бүх хүмүүс энэ дээр зориулдаг.
In cooperation with the Swiss Development Corporation's Green Gold Animal Health Project, the National Rangeland Forum has been initiated, organized annually since 2017. The main objective of the forum is to create a national platform to provide opportunity for all relevant stakeholders to exchange experience and ideas, and promote best practices to ensure the sustainable use of Mongolian rangelands. The National Rangeland Forum is organized annually. Long-term consistent awareness raising on rangeland degradation and overstocking has resulted in the adoption of the law on the livestock by Parliament of the Mongolia in November 2020. The National Federation of Pasture User Groups played a crucial role in consolidating feedback from herders and communicating to Parliament members urgency of adopting the law. The new law on livestock was a significant improvement from the first version, which was repealed in 2010. In the new law, some citizens' representative horses are granted the authority to determine and enforce the livestock tax rate. Livestock Tax revenue goes to the local development fund and can be used for 11 specific activities meant to ensure sustainable rangeland management. National Federation of Pasture User Groups, in cooperation with the Ministry of Food, Agriculture and Light Industry and other government and non-government stakeholders, have actively participated in the formulation of draft rangeland law. The Rangeland Use Agreement has become one of the core concepts of the draft of rangeland law, and it aims to regulate the use of open access rangelands in the context of the nomadic herd management.
Over the time, we have provided support to the National Federation of Pasture User Group in Mongolia. We have provided support by funding operations of the federation, but also supporting them in the development of their human resources, their management, their internal governance, so that they could become a strong federation and a strong organization in Mongolia. The strength of this federation, among others, is that they are the only organization able to make the links between the grassroots level and the policy makers. They are both very active at very concrete projects on the ground in the municipalities in Mongolia, but also at policy level. So when we speak about the future of the federation, we are speaking about the second most important national pillar of the Mongolian economy.
Mongolian National Federation of Pasture User Groups has increasingly been being recognized by the national, domestic and international partners, and has been mandated to implement the project aiming to contribute to sustainable management of rangelands, improve livelihoods of herders, and build the climate resilience capacity. Healthy rangelands, nutritious and indigenous species of wild grasses, clean and fresh water, and minerals are the basis of keeping sustainable and successful nomadic livestock herding husbandry in Mongolia. There is saying among Mongolians that we already rich in health and well-being if we have our land, animals and language. Through many hardships of history, ups and downs, they have saved us and relieved our pain and sorrow and enabled us to stand up again and to thrive. On the foundation of traditional knowledge and wisdom inherited from ancestors, Mongolians and nomadic herders are willing to make changes in order to address pending challenges and move ahead for prosperity without jeopardizing the integrity of the environmental, social and economic well-being of the nation. Nomadic civilization and cultural way of the life, which has always been a foundation for keeping ecological balance in this part of the world, is not only the heritage Mongolians should maintain, but also for the world community.